Over the last few weeks, I have spent a great deal of time detailing the gross incompetence of a host of personalities in the Trump administration. We have talked about the Doge teens. We've shined a spotlight on RFK Jr. and Pete Hegseth and Tulsi Gabbard and on and on and on. We've even dug into the history of the newly minted OMB director, Russ Vought. But you know who we haven't talked about enough? One Karoline Leavitt, Donald Trump's press secretary. We haven't talked about her enough, and that was an oversight on my part and my team's part, because I think that she may be the least talented and least qualified person to have the honor of ever holding that position. Now, to be clear, this has nothing to do with the fact that she is only 27 years old. It has nothing to do with that she's the youngest individual to serve as press secretary. My criticism of her is entirely based on the series of missteps, inaccuracies, and controversies that she's been responsible for over the last several weeks. They raise serious questions about her competence and her suitability for the role. Questions like, is she even fact-checking the things that she says from behind the White House podium? Is she even well-connected to the president? Why is she constantly saying things out of step with the words and positions of the commander-in-chief? Is she just making things up as she goes along? Or perhaps, has she been tasked with merely serving as a human distraction device? One of the most glaring examples of misinformation under Leavitt's watch, or on Leavitt's watch, is her unfounded claim that the Biden administration allocated some $50 million to send condoms to Gaza.
Doge and OMB have actually found that there was $37 million that was about to go out the door to the World Health Organization, which is an organization, as you all know, that President Trump, with the swipe of his pen in that executive order, is no longer wants the United States to be a part of. So that wouldn't be in line with the president's agenda. Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money.
Now, this led her boss apparently to then escalate the lie, saying Biden sent $100 million in condoms, not to Gaza, but to Hamas specifically. And he further asserted that Hamas was making bombs with the condoms.
In that process, we identified and stopped $50 million being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for Hamas. 50 million. And you know what's happened to them? They've used them as a method of making bombs. How about that?
Literally. WTF. Her misinformation was thoroughly debunked. Investigations reveal no evidence supporting such an expenditure. In fact, USAID reports indicated minimal contraceptive shipments to the Middle East, with none directed to Gaza. The condoms in question were actually sent to Gaza in Mozambique to stop the spread of HIV/AIDS, so it didn't make its way to the United States. Either she's incompetent or she knowingly lied. And that's far from the only example. In another instance recently, Leavitt attempted to blame the former President Joe Biden for the current egg shortage, criticizing the administration's policy on killing infected poultry to control the spread of the bird flu.
Christian Day Talk.
Thanks, Caroline. Just real quick, you mentioned the inflation executive order the president signed, but egg prices have skyrocketed since President Trump took office. So what specifically is he doing to lower those costs for Americans?
Really glad you brought this up, because there is a lot of reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration in the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country, therefore a lack of egg supply, which is leading to the shortage.
More than 100 million chickens have in fact been culled as the disease has ravaged the country. However, This practice was also implemented during the first Trump administration, making her criticism not only misinformation, but extremely hypocritical. A 2016 USDA report shows that anti-bird flu depopulation efforts in 2015, when Trump was president, resulted in 50 million birds being killed. Now, so I'm scratching my head once again. I'm not sure if she's merely incompetent and can't check basic facts, or she has been told to lie. But I digress, because her lack of qualifications extend beyond not being able to tell the difference between fact and fiction. Leavitt has been embroiled in some extremely troubling financial controversies. In January of 2025, reports surfaced that her 2022 congressional campaign allegedly accepted nearly $300,000 in illegal contributions that exceeded legal donation limits. That's arguably George Santos level corruption. Now, would you want George Santos being press secretary? Because that's who some folks have compared her to. Congressman Dan Goldman accused Leavitt of acting just like the disgraced congressman and the disgraced lawmaker in how she reportedly handled her congressional campaign's finances. Goldman, a former federal prosecutor, reacted to the reports around Leavitt's alleged actions, saying this, and I quote, "This is very similar to what George Santos did, and he's about to go to jail. Any nonpartisan Justice Department would aggressively investigate this, like Biden's DOJ did with Bob Menendez and Eric Adams. If Trump's DOJ does not investigate these allegations, it is simply because of partisanship." Wow. Needless to say, these revelations raise serious ethical concerns and questions about her adherence to the law. But guess what? We're still not done. Leavitt has a very murky history that we're only now just digging into. Following the January 6th Capitol riots, she praised then Vice President Mike Pence for his steady leadership, referring to it as a, quote, dark day in the history of the United States Capitol. Now, this stance starkly contrasts with the narrative embraced by the former and current President Trump and his supporters, who have called it a day of love. So what does she actually believe? Is she even a legitimate spokesperson for either Trump or the MAGA movement? Doesn't seem like it. The role of the press secretary is to convey the administration's policies and positions truthfully and effectively. When the person in that role disseminates false information, is ridiculed with scandals, and exhibits questionable alignment with the administration's core values, it undermines public trust and hampers the administration's credibility. Literally, what is she doing in this role? She's harming the Trump administration as much as she is harming the public trust. There's literally no reason to listen to her because she appears utterly incapable of being able to, one, recognize the truth, and two, speak accurately about Trump's thoughts and goals. I cannot believe I'm doing this right now, but I think I need to give the Trump White House some advice for their own good. It is honestly imperative that they reevaluate Karoline Leavitt's position as press secretary. The administration owes it to the American people to ensure that its communications are handled by someone who embodies competence, integrity, and a steadfast commitment to both the truth and the president. It doesn't seem like Leavitt embodies any of those things. Let me know what you think. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.